Everyone, there is a hidden mechanism that Dr. Russell Blaylock identifies in rheumatoid arthritis and multiple sclerosis that explains the damage that inflammation itself doesn't explain. If you have these conditions, if you're dealing with rheumatoid arthritis, for example, watch what I have to say, listen to what I have to say, because it may give you some ideas of how to treat this or deal with it that could ease the intensity of it that your doctor probably wouldn't be aware of. The process I'm talking about is called immunoexcitotoxicity, and this goes beyond. We know that we'll get to that in a minute. Generally, the understanding is that rheumatoid arthritis, different to osteoarthritis, is an autoimmune condition. Autoimmune conditions. This is where the you have invading molecules into the body, and they resemble the body's own organic tissue, like the cells of the organ. So the immune system makes the mistake that these are invading cells and begins to attack those. That's the general idea of how autoimmunity comes about. And this is what is thought to be the cause of a condition like rheumatoid arthritis. In rheumatoid arthritis, you have this synovial membrane which surrounds the joint. It's a protective thing, and it gets attacked in the case of rheumatoid arthritis, and the synovial fluid leaks out and becomes damaging and accumulates in the joint. What they found drawing that fluid out is they discovered very high levels of glutamate, which is a very interesting point I'm going to get to in a second. But glutamate, what is glutamate? Monosodium glutamate may be something that comes to mind. MSG, something that's found in food. I'll get to that connection a bit later. But so this is the general understanding of what brings autoimmune conditions about. The issue is that what happens with autoimmune conditions, eventually the immune system burns itself out. It's not able to maintain that intensity. So the question is, how does this damage continue? Because people continue to experience damage that's beyond what inflammation could explain. Dr. Russell Blaylock has written a paper about this, and I put it in the description. You can find the title of that, so you can search it after listening to me as a health journalist giving my interpretation of what this paper is about. Quickly, look for that in the description and read it yourself. This paper is about the further cause of the damage that is seen in autoimmune conditions like rheumatoid arthritis. And what I was saying before, they've drawn the fluid, the synovial fluid, from the knee, and they've found high levels of glutamate in that. Where does glutamate come from? Glutamate is what is released in the immune cells of the brain. You have different layers of the immune system. There's the innate immune system, which is the first responders when you get an injury or an infection. They're sending out macrophages to deal with that, and also sending out signals that help to swing the adaptive immune system, the second layer of protection, into action. And then that comes online. And then you've also got another layer of defense in the brain. The brain has its own immune system, which wasn't realized for many years, but it's understood now. The brain has microglial cells, which are the main immune cells of the brain. What these cells do, actually, as their way of dealing with threats, with invading pathogens, is to release glutamate. Glutamate plays an important role in the body. It's a neurotransmitter. It's essential for learning and memory, and it's controlled very tightly in the brain. It's very tightly controlled to perform its function. What happens is, if there's too much of it, if the brain immune cells, the microglia, get active, they start pumping out glutamate. That ends up with a lot of glutamate outside the cell, where it becomes toxic. Then you have a major problem because it's neurotoxic and begins damaging the cells of the brain. And this is what Dr. Blaylock explains as the further thing beyond inflammation that is causing the damage, the really unexplained damage in autoimmune conditions like rheumatoid arthritis. And so, as I was saying, also in the condition, there's another condition called temporal mandibular disease, which involves very intense pain in this part of the jaw. Also, they drew the fluid out from that part of the body and discovered high levels of glutamate. Very suspicious. Check out my interviews with Dr. Blaylock at Vital Signs. Look for me, Vital Signs, Brendan Fallon on Epoch TV. And you can find interviews that I've done with Russell Blaylock talking about how to deal with this kind of situation. One obvious way, if we're talking about glutamate as seen with monosodium glutamate, MSG, which has come under a lot of scrutiny in recent years. And there's been some, you might say, crackdown of that. So it's thought to appear less in food, but it's often disguised under different labels. So one obvious way to avoid having excess glutamate in the body is to cut down on MSG. And in the article that I put in the description, you'll find other certain nutrients Dr. Blaylock discusses that also help to limit the amount of glutamate that's in the body and reduce that toxic effect. So I invite you to check out that paper and get the direct information from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Thank you for watching. You might also find interviews, as I mentioned, on Vital Science with Brendan Fallon, if you do a search for that. I'll see you here again soon. Have a good weekend.